Emily Dailey, welcome to Women Investor Wednesday. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. Thanks, Beth. How are you?
So happy to have you. So before we get into your story and some of the investments that you have made, I just like to tell the listeners or the watchers what this is about, why we do Women Investor Wednesdays. And you and I, in the prep call, in advanced call, we're talking about the lack of women in your area of hospitality or a hospitality marketing and branding consultant, and the lack of women not only in hospitality investments, but in all commercial real estate, right? And
Absolutely.
During COVID, I had learned that of all of the investors in commercial real estate, only 3% were women. And of that, half were either inherited or women that were signing on their husband's guarantees. And I just thought, this is crazy. How can I be part of 1.5%? And I started asking my friends if they invested, and they said, yeah, in the stock market. And these were people in the commercial real estate industry. I'm like, well, why aren't you investing in real estate? They're like, well, I don't have $1 million. And I'm like, well, you don't need $1 million. And I just kept asking and asking, and they would make up reasons, complicated, math, risky. And I said, well, all of those things go with the stock market. And then they said, well, I don't know anyone doing it. And I know a lot of people that invest in the stock market. And so, okay, so herd mentality, right? So I said, okay, let me try to solve that problem. Let me try to find women that are investors and spread the word to the other women who don't think there are any of us out there, which obviously at 1.5%, there weren't a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So I did a virtual summit during COVID. And then since then, we've done 4 live conferences. You've been at one of them.
2 of them.
Two of them. Mm-hmm. So it's great because now what I do is I interview women on stage, 8 to 10. They do breakout sessions. So the 250 women there get to see every year 8 to 10 women, and it's compounding. And now what we're finding is there's women in the room that are starting to invest with each other. I just told you before the call, we're investing 9 women. 9 of us are creating an LLC and investing in a women's hotel deal out in Colorado, I think. So very exciting. Women are so small and intimate because we wouldn't be investing with each other in the room if the room was 500, right? You lose the intimacy of that and the like and the trust thing, which is important when you're investing. So that's when I came up with the podcast. And I thought, you know what? Every week I could interview one woman that either has invested in a ton of stuff or is just getting started to spread the word that, again, there's more of us. And that means that if I do 8 to 10 women every year at the conference, but I do 50 women a year on the podcast, we'll try to make more traction. So that's why you're here on Women Investor Wednesdays.
Yeah, I'm just at the beginning of the process. So if you've just been in hotels for a long time or in your industry for a long time, I'm just like you.
Exactly. So let's talk about your path. So you've been in hospitality. When did you start to get the itch of, like, maybe I shouldn't be just investing in my 401k and maybe there's, something else I could do in my industry? Like, tell us that story, that path.
Yeah, I started in hospitality 20 years ago, and I had come out of a theater background prior to that. I was in theater production and design. And I started working in a hotel and was like, oh, this is actually theater. Like, somebody picks a smell, somebody picks the set, somebody picks the costume, somebody picks the script. There's a whole set, there's a cadence that we run through. It's a show, it's a performance. And I loved it. I fell in love with hotels. And I kept going closer and closer and closer towards that creative process. And I wound up doing marketing, and then I wound up doing branding. And I started getting earlier and earlier and earlier in the branding process, where it was like, we have what used to be a hospital. It will be a hotel. We are going to brand it. We have a patch of dirt. It is going to be a hotel. We are going to brand it. And I had never thought about the fact that there's all that work that goes into making a hotel. Like, you just check into a hotel, you don't really think about the fact that, like, every single thing you smell, see, touch, feel, taste, somebody I said touch twice, touch and feel. But anyway.
I didn't know there was a smell. I thought the smells were only in Vegas. There's
No,
smells in
there are
hotels?
signature scents at many hotels. There's a whole industry around it. There are companies that do custom scents, and that's not just for spas. Like, it's just wonderful and wild. And the more I got into that and I started working with third-party management companies that were helping with this, either investing in properties through their own investment portfolio, or were helping other small owners invest in hotels, I was like, I want to have one of those. Like, I want to have the hotel I want to stay at. I had this vision in my head all of a sudden of like, wait, you can do this. Like, from when I was a little kid, as a theater nerd, I was like on those little stickers you used to get out of a machine. There used to be glossy stickers. You could spend 50 cents and you get this little cardboard thing and you pull it open and there was a sticker inside. I used to do layouts of floor plans and I would have like 100 of them stacked up. And I was like, this is my castle. And it was 100 different room designs in this castle that I had. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, this exists out there in the world. Every room that everybody has ever stayed in, there were teams of people thinking about the experience that they were going to have. Wouldn't that be cool to do? And I started asking around. I saw no women. I saw very few minority owners. It was people who were investing millions of dollars or millions of somebody else's dollars. I didn't even know how that happened. And it just seemed so foreign and wild to me. And I muddled through probably at least half a decade in the industry with that itch, that interest, with no one else doing it. Conveniently, I knew that if I was going to stay in hotels for a while, I wanted to get involved in networking. So I became part of the American Hotel and Lodging Association's Under 30 Gateway. In that cohort happened to be Omari Head and Devon Reeves, who have now become great advocates for minority and women ownership in hospitality, just two powerhouses in the industry right now, and in my generation of people coming up, and starting to see what they were able to do in their work, and meeting more VPs of business development and asset managers. I was like, I think if there's an opportunity, I want to be able to do this. So yeah, that was how I got the itch and how I figured it out, what I wanted to do. So I met Devon and that process was going, and I had just found out about Tracy Prigmore and she has a deal. And I was like, oh gosh, this is potentially going to be something that women can do.
So let me interrupt you so I can tell the audience and remind some of them. So Tracy spoke I think she spoke on my first virtual, I'm pretty sure. And then she spoke at my first live conference. Mm-hmm. And Tracy, powerhouse, right? Powerhouse. She wanted to own hotel flags. And she was working, I think, for the healthcare industry, staying in hotels, somehow found out that people could own a Marriott Residence Inn and said, wait a minute, I want to do that, like your story, right? But then had a super hard time. I met Tracy on Clubhouse during COVID and heard her story. But she found out she had a really hard time and she couldn't raise the money, and she lost money in due diligence trying to put a deal under contract. And then no one would help her. And she realized that she needed to help to be the catalyst to solve this problem. So she created something called She Has a Deal. And every year, I think she's going on her 6th year, she has women, somewhere between 10 and 15 women that they join her group, and she educates them from every part of the due diligence process to buy or develop a hotel. And she started with just one group, which were college age women. And now she has, I don't remember the real woman or something, right? It's people in their 40s or 50s. So she's got one group that are college women, another group that are career level
careerists.
Yeah, the careerists. And they have 12 weeks of education. She brings in Hilton and Marriott and all the flags to help teach the class. And then they do a pitch off. And whoever wins, they get $50,000 of seed money to buy their first hotel. I've been a judge at She Has a Deal 3 times. And I'm the only one sitting there that has no idea. Like the first time I did the judging, I had no idea what a PIP was. I now know a lot more about hotels. And obviously I've invested in a Marriott with my friends, Andrea Scott and Lindsay Erickson. Now I'm going to be investing in this Best Western turning into a Buxton, but I've learned a lot about hotels and hospitality because of Tracy. So that's my relationship with Tracy. Love her. And what she has done, I was telling you before the call, she has a deal. She had 11 CEOs, all middle-aged white-haired, white guys with white hair on stage, 11 of them. And they're like, yeah, they're just completely giving her lip service. She had this hot yellow dress on, all these guys from every flag on stage at the luncheon. And they're like, yeah, we should help women. She's like, the only women in your hotels are the housekeepers. I mean, she was giving it to them.
Always ask the hard question.
Absolutely. And they're like, well, how much are you going to commit? And what are you going to commit? And what are you going to, this time next year, what is Hyatt going to have done, or Clarion? And believe it, and they weren't fair. They didn't really commit. They said, we'll look into it. We'll have our teams look into it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, the last time I judged, I think was 2 years ago, almost every flag and remember, as the girls are pitching or the women are pitching, they're pitching to then have a flag, like one of these flags. But the flags are sponsors. Hyatt's a sponsor, Hilton's a sponsor, Marriott's a sponsor. And when they're doing their, like, putting up on the screen, like, their sponsor advertisements, almost every flag had a program to encourage female and minority investors as GPs of hotels. What she was able to do in 24 months blew my mind. Mind. Okay. So that, for the audience, is Tracy. So look her up, follow her. She is a force. So you met her through Devon?
No, I had met Tracy because I knew I wanted to be in hotel investments. And I remember seeing there was Fortuna's Table was sort of a pre-iteration of She Has a Deal. And it was a training program for women who wanted to become hotel owners. And initially I was looking at that, and then had a career shift happen. So the timing wasn't quite right. But when I moved out of my role in corporate and shifted into having my own company full time, I had the opportunity to circle back again, and I went out on my own full time in February. I went to the Women's Real Estate Investment Summit in early March, I think, of that year. I saw Tracy again, and I was like, hey, I have been fangirling about you for years. I've been on several of your information calls. I would love to work together if you ever have the opportunity. And that door cracked wide open for me. I mean, I had been working for a management company prior to that had capital that they were investing in projects, and they went through a rebranding. And I asked the question, how do we get more women and minority owners? It feels like you're in a position where you could offer incremental ownership LPs for people that work at your hotels. Like, you could give them a share in a hotel that they're working in. And what a wonderful way to have that personal ownership of, this is my hotel. Yeah, I'm cleaning the room, or yeah, I'm managing the front desk, or yeah, I'm serving the restaurant, but this is my hotel just as much as it's anybody else's.
Right.
And there wasn't an appetite for that. There was a fear around what that would look like, and what that could mean, if there were going to be issues with, like, regulations and stuff like that, if there would be regulatory issues. And I was like, Tracy's doing it. Devon was just starting with Vester. That was coming up in the next year. So, like, there are other people out there that are doing this. It's just not for people that look like me, or, it's hard. It's not easy. All due credit to AHOA, Asian American Hotel Owners Association, that has done an amazing job of lifting up their entire community, that when they're going into a hotel project, they're allowing so many people that are in their networks to invest in them. And that's wonderful. And that's where a lot of our minority and women-owned hotels come from right now. AHOA is such a huge segment of the hospitality industry relative to real estate right now.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I
Okay,
was ready.
so you go up to her at the conference and you said, I've been
Mhm.
fangirling you. And
Mhm.
then you became an investor. How did that happen?
Well, so this is one of the things that I talk to a lot of my friends about. One of the things that I'm most passionate about is helping professional women realize their potential. And that means that, when you're going in and negotiating a salary or negotiating, it's not just the salary. That's one tiny piece of it. Like, I think about the things to consider, stuff like financial security, which comes from your salary and bonuses, but also what are your future financial goals? Like, do you want PTO because you like spending time traveling or time with your family? Is 401k important? Do you need insurance? Do you want travel reimbursement? Is education important, or tuition reimbursement would be important? Do you want shares in the company, or do you have a goal to invest in real estate? And that was that for me. So when I'm looking at partnering with hotel partners, whether I'm supporting them from a marketing perspective or choosing to work with them, I ask the question, is there an opportunity for shares in a project? Because adding on an LP, if you already have LPs, is not that particularly hard to do. And it might not be of large cost, direct cost for that organization to do that. But for my personal goals, it's a huge benefit for me. So that's something that I think a lot. I'm not going to qualify it by saying I think, obviously, I think it, I'm the one saying it. We as women can and should do more of saying, this is what my professional goal or what my personal goal is. It's not always related to salary. Salary is just the tip of the iceberg. So when we're negotiating, think about your other goals, right? Like, what are your professional goals? What are your future financial goals? What are your current financial needs? And that opens up a lot of opportunities. So Tracy and I were able to partner on both supporting She Has a Deal through one of their pitch seasons, as well as supporting a pitch participant, Jenny Jackman, who is working on, they've just broken ground on a True by Hilton out in Redlands, California. And I was able to support some of the initial project for that as well, and became LPs in both the Shad Prosperity Fund as well as in the True project as well. So there's more than one way I've found now to hotel ownership, and it's not always going to be direct, because even those brands that you've been talking about, Beth, that have made great inroads with having programs that make it more palatable and easy for women hotel investors, we're still facing the structural issues of how difficult it is to gain access to capital. There are banks that will laugh you out of the office. I have been writing pitches for hotel companies and all sorts of food and beverage outlets for years. I walked into a local bank to talk to the, SBA loan officer, who, I'm in a small community in Florida, and so we see each other in other places. I walked in as I do when I'm going to a business meeting. I had a suit, I had a dress, I had, pumps on, I had a full pitch deck together, I had my pro forma, I had a SWOT analysis, I had a marketing plan. I was ready to go. And I was like, here's what I offer, here's what I'm looking to do, here's the capital I'm looking to raise, here's that debt structure, this is what I want. And the first thing he told me was, wow, you look great today. I've never seen you like this. And I was like, let's focus on the fact that I brought in this pitch that he's like, I don't have anybody ever come in with stuff like this. And like, this is what I do professionally. Like, you see me out on the beach or at the yoga studio or whatever, but this is me in my normal day-to-day life. Like the suit wearing professional, badass sort of boss woman who has goals is how I show up in most of my day-to-day. So like, let's take that piece seriously and not, be weird and say I look really cute in that dress and how unexpected that is.
Nice.
So we've still got some work to do.
Yeah. So True just broke ground.
Mm-hmm.
And you are an LP. How many, do you know how many LPs she has in that
I
deal?
don't remember offhand right now, because it's been a little bit since I've been directly involved in that process, but they made it very palatable for people. Like one of the things that I love the most about Tracy and what she does with She Has a Deal, and what Davon does with Vester, is they make these micro investments an option. So sometimes they're offering as little as a $5,000 investment to get involved on the ground level of a hotel project. And that just starts, that even just that little bit of diversification in your portfolio makes a huge difference when you go to a bank later, when you are building your portfolio later. You have that confidence of building, I've got operational revenue coming in, I've got whatever
Right.
coming in. It's nice to have that. So yes, LP in those projects. It's been cool.
And you shared with me, you have some self-directed IRA funds that you're ready to invest, which is exciting. Not many people know that they can invest from their 401ks or their IRAs.
Yeah. And I found that I went through several financial advisors who don't have that product in their portfolio at all. So even big firms, like if you're working with like a Merrill Lynch, or you're working with an Edward Jones, or you're working with a whatever, a lot of those traditional like financial advisors don't have that in their product portfolio. So they're not going to readily approach you with that. And I went to them and said, hey, I want to invest in this. And they're like, oh, well, that's weird. Why would you want to do that? We have this, you can have stocks and bonds and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I've been in hotels for 20 years, man. I know this business better than I know pharmaceuticals or international business or, manufacturing or automotive, or I want to invest in the things I know, have that sense of ownership over it. So so you really have to ask. And there are also some of those projects get to be a little challenging too, because even those funds, you have to go, if you're not dealing with a general partner, a GP who has built the relationship with an organization that does those self-directed IRAs, it can be really hard to find one that even understands hotel investment anyway. They're like, oh, it's not multifamily, or it's not, a strip mall, or it's not a storage facility or a car wash. I'm not going to touch it. So sometimes you have to be able to educate them as well. So finding a good GP who has those relationships where, they already have somebody who does self-directed, that you can just drop your money into that account and move forward with the project is great. And that's the nice thing about partnering with somebody like, Devon, or partnering with somebody like Tracy, is they have those relationships. They've built that network for you already.
Yes, I used Provident with one of my GPs a couple times, but now I use Camaplan because they sponsored the conference.
Perfect. We love that. They're putting their money where their mouth is.
Exactly. I go where, the people that support us. So what would you say to someone that has what I call some shekels to invest, and but they've been a little fearful to dip their toe in? What would be your advice?
Yeah, I mean, first is just start with something that right? Like, I don't think, and that's something that I took out of the Women's Real Estate Investment Summit as well, is that there are a lot of women, yourself included, that whether it's an industry very well, or a location that really well, like your properties are all very close to you. I think that's really smart. I happen to know this industry. I've worked virtually and remotely in this industry for a long time. Getting on a plane to go to a product of mine is not that big a deal. And I've worked in operations. So for me, this is an industry that I feel very comfortable investing in, though I am also looking to invest in multifamily and things like that. But start with something that and I would also say make the ask, right? Like, if you're working for a company that happens to have this, or people who are owners, like, look for the other owners that look like you, and start to get a little bit more familiar with the financial piece of it, because I think that that's a big thing too. We get really scared of the finances. My niece is with me now, and she's having a hard time with algebra, and it seems so insurmountable, but it's really not that tough. Give yourself time. Stop saying you hate it and it's stupid and you're never going to use it, when in fact it's not stupid and you are going to use it. And it's the language of capitalism and the economy. And if you can learn to sing that tune, you're going to get a lot farther. So start with something that start small and make the ask of people that or the company that you work for, if they're doing investment, and get a little bit of financial understanding. There are programs like Women's Real Estate Investment Summit, and the programs that you have, Beth. There's a lot of other programs out there. Tracy does a mastermind now, so you don't actually have to want to invest in a project necessarily, but there's a lot of resources that are becoming available to people that are interested. And I'm just speaking from the hospitality side, but certainly in, other areas of real estate, there's a lot more resources available to women that are looking to walk this path.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that coming to the summit is, you're in a room with other women, many, many women GPs, and many LPs that are their LPs and the other women in the room's GPs. So you can talk to the LP, pull them aside. How long have you been an investor in her deal? And then the breakout rooms, they walk through deals, they walk through underwriting. The reason there are no men in the room is because women feel more comfortable raising their hand and saying, this is a stupid question, which of course there are no stupid questions, but women just feel more comfortable saying, remind me again what a cap rate is, in a room when there are no guys there.
Yeah, I facilitated a retreat this weekend for women professionals, and it was the Authentic Voice weekend. So we were focusing on articulating your personal values and building a mission statement and a vision statement. And it's wild how much we think we're not experts. Like, I'm in a room of women that have been in the wellness industry for a period of time. They are all experts. And they all were like, this is a stupid question.
Yeah.
And I'm like, first of all, no. And second of all, every single one of you is an expert in something else. Like, there is so much knowledge. If you were coming through the professional world in the last maybe 15, 20, 25 years, it was a lot more cutthroat. And I think most of us, hopefully, and if you haven't yet, please turn to this page of your book. Co-opetition is the way to go. Like, cooperate and compete. This is not a pie. There is not a finite amount of things. One of my participants this weekend said there's gold dust in the air for everybody. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, the more I open myself up to collaborating and cooperating with women who are even in the very same space of the industry as I am, the more opportunities become available for all of us, I've found. And that's my personal lived experience as a CEO and founder and professional woman coming up through, management and executive leadership. It's been magical.
Well, amazing. I am so happy you came to the conference. Since you came to the conference, you've since then become an LP twice. Yay. I hope to see you at a future conference. I hope you don't have a conflict this March.
Here's hoping.
Would love to see you again. And that way, maybe, and you'll find some women to invest with your self-directed IRA. And check out Camel Plan if you need to, because they handle that for us. Final
plug for anybody. I've got a little bit of cash. I'm looking to do another hotel LP project, and I have my sights on in the next 3 years is my goal. I wanted to buy a house by 30, and I did that. I want to be a GP in a hotel project by 40, so I'm on my way to that. So if you've got anything going, that's on the vision board for the next few years. So if anybody has any projects coming up, please do let me know.
And how can people reach you?
You can reach me on my website, which is PenDailey.com. You can see it right here. Or you can reach me at Emily@PenDailey.com. And if you happen to already be invested in a hotel project and you need support with branding or marketing or commercial services or anything like that, please don't hesitate to reach out.
I guess we should call it Ascent, right?
Ascent, yes, yeah. So if you want to start thinking about all the tactile experiences that make your brand, don't hesitate to let me know. And if anybody's listening who will be at the Ohio Hotel and Lodging Association Conference in November, I'll see you there, and I'm talking about personal branding.
Amazing, Emily. Thanks for being here on Women Investor Wednesdays.
Thanks for having it, Beth. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.